What this tool is trying to do is eliminate scrolling after you've searched. You don't feel like searching through all the answers. You just want an answer.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the X agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 138, and today we are talking about how you can prepare for SearchGPT, not to be mistaken with ChatGPT. Ooh. So this is going to be a lot of Abby that you're going to hear, myself. Right now, this is super duper brand new. So you might have never heard of SearchGPT before, just like Courtney.
Which is so exciting for you for this episode because as Abby talks, I might have questions. I definitely will have questions. And I'm going to ask those questions because I'm basically a listener just like you today, learning all about this. So hopefully I ask the questions that are burning through your mind as you listen.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of fun just to have like a transparent conversation about what this tool is.
Also, I like to point out that there are no such things as dumb questions. We've learned this in the agency life, actually. I one time rose my hand and I was like, okay, I have a dumb question. And somebody was like, it's never a dumb question, but you can say like, hey, I have a kindergarten question because you think maybe it's like a lower grade question.
I like that. Kindergarten.
So there is no such thing as a dumb question, but you can say, hey, I have a kindergarten question. So I might be asking a lot of kindergarten questions here. So.
Oh, I like that. I mean, my kindergartner comes home and says things sometimes where I'm like, I didn't know that. So, you know. Okay, so let's just start at the basics. What the heck is SearchGPT? If you have not heard of this, this is a brand new tool and it's developed by OpenAI, which are the same company and the makers of ChatGPT. So if you aren't familiar with ChatGPT either, don't worry. I would maybe pause this episode, go to episode number 57, where we talked about what ChatGPT is and why you should care. This episode is a little bit older, so this is like right when ChatGPT first came out. So it will give you a good idea on what that tool is and their capabilities. Just know that some of their capabilities might be a little bit more advanced because it's been, a year or so later that the tool's been around. So anyways, ChatGPT is an AI tool, conversational. You can ask it questions. It's kind of like your Alexa or I don't even want to say it out loud because it's going to start talking to me, but the GOOGLE. So it's conversational. You can talk to them, ask questions on your computer. So SearchGPT is basically a tool that combines the functionality of a search engine with all the conversational capabilities of ChatGPT. So it's basically Google, but it's not going to give you a list of links like a traditional search engine would. It's going to answer you in an interactive way. So you're going to ask a question and you're going to get an answer. So
first question.
Yeah,
maybe you're getting into this, but I haven't really read the show notes or the notes for this because this will be good. So you ask it a question and it gives you an answer more conversationally versus a list of like, here are all these websites that you should check out. They will give you the answer. Does it give you any? Like, does it give you this conversational answer and then links to websites? Or it's literally no websites? It's just almost like you're having a conversation with Google and asking Google a question.
Yeah.
And Google's like, hey, here's the answer.
Yes.
There you have it.
There's the answer. So it's something I do not have access to this tool. So right now there's about 10,000 users that are testing it out. You could have applied to be a user of it and likely like the big guys out there like Neil Patel, like they're testers of the prototype. So they have definitely opened it up to certain people and not that many people are using it. But So I can't see the tool. I don't know exactly how it works or what's happening. But I've been listening into all the industry experts, just trying to understand like what this tool is going to be like. It will cite in source links, but it is not aiming to give you a list of answers. So basically, the whole point of SearchGPT, it's not going to just be another Google. Like Google's already there. We're not going to try and like recreate Google because they're already thriving. Like Bing's already trying to steal that market share with ChatGPT integrated into it. Like
it's like Google's cousin.
Yeah. We're like not trying to create it. But what this tool is trying to do is eliminate scrolling after you've searched. So you don't feel like searching through all the answers. You just want an answer. Like you just want it to tell you what to do. You don't want to click on a bunch of links. You don't want to scroll for days. So it's going to eliminate the scrolling. There's not going to be any ads because this is already subscription based. So you are not going to be able to use SearchGPT unless you're already paying for the ChatGPT or whatever SearchGPT version of it. So this is already a subscription based model. So because of that, there's no ads yet. This is something that people really dislike about Google, is that the sponsored ads and the amount of ads. But ad revenue is a massive source of income for Google, so that's definitely not going away. And then it's also more conversational rather than keyword focused. So you're not going to be typing a single word into this tool. You're going to be asking a full-on question and having a conversation with it, which I realize we do treat Google like that too, but that's what this tool is kind of for. So some of the limitations of what it's not going to be able to do, at least right now, is that when you're searching for something, not all searches are informational. And that's kind of what SearchGPT is, the basis is, right? We're searching for information. We're asking a question. We want some information. Not everything is going to be informational that you want to go and search. Sometimes you're looking for a local business, or sometimes you're searching for a product, or you're searching to like actually buy something or look up someone near you. SearchGPT is not going to be the answer for that, at least not right now. They most likely will not have the infrastructure to pull in all of that and show you all the options. It's going to be more focused on informational searches. And then it's also not going to be winning at super recent information. So things that are happening right now, Google has an insane infrastructure of content and sources where it can pull real-time answers for you. SearchGPT is likely not going to be able to do that.
Okay, so obviously, as you're talking about all of this, I think the biggest question that's going to come to everybody's mind is, what does this mean for SEO going forward?
Right? So people are going, like, again, people have been saying for years, SEO is dying. I'm sorry, it's not dying, nor is it going to die with this tool. It is good and healthy for Google to have some competitors. Like, good. They should. Google's definitely up there. Like, there should be some competition. At the end of the day, Google's a habit. Like, it's not just a tool, it's a habit. Go Google it is a term that we use in our language every day. It's not going to disappear. Like, there's a lot of things out there like Threads, right? Everyone jumped on it and all of a sudden Twitter's going to be gone. Like, did that happen? No, it didn't. So it's the same thing with this. Like, SearchGPT is going to launch and no one's going to use Google anymore. That's not the case. It's just another tool that we should be aware of and monitor and just stay up to date with it and understand our audience. Like, is our audience going to use this tool? If they are using it, how are they using it? So SEO is not dead. It's not going away. There's actually a new term out there called AIO, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Optimization. So it's optimizing for AI, like ChatGPT. Like, there's just so many jargony terms out there. It's crazy. And that's kind of what I wanted to chat with you guys about today, is how can you prepare for this? How can you prepare for this new tool to enter the marketplace? What do you need to think about? What do you need to do? Don't stop creating content. Like, don't stop optimizing your website. Google is not going away. thousands upon thousands of people use Google every day. That is not going to change overnight. So do not stress about that. SEO isn't changing, but there are some things we can do to better prepare ourselves for SearchGPT.
Another question.
Mhm.
So because this is subscription based versus just like anybody can go and use it free willingly, is it paid subscription? You have to pay to use SearchGPT.
Yep.
Okay, so then again, that answers your question too, that not everybody's going to pay for this.
Yeah.
Like it's not just my mom who can go to SearchGPT and ask it a question. Yeah. She would not. She probably doesn't even know what ChatGPT is, to be honest. But again, that answers your question too, is that you have to pay to be a part of this, and not everybody's going to pay to be a part of it. Or people are going to try it and realize that it's not for them. So therefore, SEO is definitely not dying, and Google is definitely not going anywhere based on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I envision that eventually it won't be paid. Eventually ads will be in it. Like eventually all of that will happen. But right now, if you want to use the newest advanced model of ChatGPT, you have to pay for it. So it's $20 a month. It's not expensive. We pay for it. It's worth it, in my opinion. You get much better content. But it's definitely, it's going to be a paid model. And so if you are serving other businesses, like if you run a B2B business, likely your audience might be people who are using it. You know, other business owners are probably going to be the ones to invest in it. Unless you're like, your audience is early adoptive, like technology people, like my husband would be someone who would just purchase it because he like loves that from a technology standpoint. But unless that's your audience, your audience likely isn't going to invest in this or be a first adopter of it. So they'll just be watching as things evolve.
Yep.
So let's talk about how you can prepare your content, whether it's new content, old content, and just kind of prepare for the shift. So one, you should focus on creating more conversational content. So less, which I actually hope that this makes it easier to think about your blog or to think about your podcast or to think about creating long form content. I really hope this makes it easier because it truly is just having a conversation with your audience. And it's kind of how we've always approached blogging. So it really shouldn't be that difficult unless you have been blogging forever with a very like without infusing a lot of personality and it's very straightforward. Like unless that's the case, this likely shift is going to feel normal for you. So right now, SearchGPT is going to be prioritizing this interaction of conversational content over traditional keywords. So start focusing on producing content that answers questions in a natural dialogue-like format. So one tip that I have for you is to start with your existing content. So let's not start recreating the wheel. Let's go back and look at a good performing blog post that's working for you right now. And you can see that in Google Analytics or Google Search Console. Just see what's working for you now. And then why don't you just try asking ChatGPT or Gemini, either of those tools, how to make it more conversational. Just ask the tool, hey, here's this blog post. Can you make this a little bit more conversational for use in SearchGPT, and see what tips it gives you? Another really easy thing to do is add FAQ sections. So whether that's to your website or to blog posts, like adding FAQ questions are conversational. That's literally having a conversation on your website. So adding those in can be really helpful too. The second tip is to focus on longer tail keywords. So we always talk about you should focus on long tail keywords, 3 to 5 words that people are typing into a search engine. It's really, really hard to index for 1 to 2 words, but the longer the word, the easier the competition is going to be and the more niched down you're going to get to reaching your ideal audience. So think of like a sentence, like you are optimizing for a sentence, not just a keyword. So when you're actually doing some keyword research, so if you're in Ubersuggest and you're looking up keywords, so like for example, I'm going to type in SearchGPT and see what keywords are popping up for this. There's a section in Ubersuggest that says questions. And those are the things you can write blog posts on. You can do a combination of all of those questions in a single post. You can take one of those questions and write a whole post on it. Like use those questions as your content keyword when you're writing things. Number 3 is to focus on adding in more local content. So this is where Google's going to shine. If you create local content or near me content, focus on your community, focus on things within your city and your location that resonate with your brand and your business. Like, don't just write content that doesn't make sense. Like, it still has to resonate with your brand and business. But if you focus on infusing a little bit more local content into your content plan, this is where Google is going to continue to shine for longer. So you can guarantee that people are going to be using Google for this. So that can really help build your SEO there. Focus on load times. So this is really important, is that SearchGPT, in order to give someone an answer very fast, it needs to be able to scan its database, scan its web, get its content in the snap of a finger. If your website takes too long to load, your content will never be the answer. And this goes with AI overviews too. So you need to have a very fast website in order for any of this AI SEO kind of content to work for you. So make sure that you're focusing on that, your core web vitals and your page speed being those two things. So you can go to Page Speed Insights, and we'll link that in the show notes so that you can kind of see how your website ranks right now, how fast your website is, what you can do to fix it. We've talked a lot about this on our email list, especially on our Friday SEO squeeze. If you're not on our email list, we send out one email every Friday about one thing you can do to better your SEO. And we've talked a lot about page speeds, and we have a whole archive of this as well on our Substack. So we'll link that in here too, so that you can kind of dig into those old emails, and then make sure you join the list so that you get all of the new tips moving forward. And then finally, the last tip that I have for you is to create these too long, don't read kind of summaries at the top of your long form content. So creating summaries at the beginning of your blog post is basically like giving these AI tools the answer to what they're searching for without having to read your content. So make it easy for them to grab what they need by creating those summaries. So this can be a super easy thing to do to update your long form content that you already have existing. Just simply add in some summaries to the old posts.
Okay, so I have a few questions.
Yes.
Well, I have one question that might lead to a few more. So SearchGPT and ChatGPT. Right now, let's say I go to ChatGPT and I'm like, hey, help me write a social post based off of this blog post that we already have live, and I will give it guidelines, and make sure it touches on X, Y, and Z, but it's short and sweet, and then sign off with this. And ChatGPT is like, sure, got you, and it writes its thing. SearchGPT is nothing like that. It's not like, hey, help me write a blog post from or help me write a social post from this blog post. It doesn't do that.
Yeah, it's not your assistant. It's so think of it
it's not
less
taking your content and making it more conversational. It's not that tool. It's more like, so then here's my next question. Would I ever use SearchGPT if I'm like, hey, again, I feel like this is too specific. Like, hey, I'm looking for a local photographer that really focuses on a moody and fun and funky vibe in my local area.
So I think that's going to be the goal. Like, I think SearchGPT wants to get to that point, because if you take that question, like moody vibe, like whatever, right. If you take that question, you plug it into Google, like you're probably going to get crap. Right? Mm-hmm. Like Google's focused on that keyword that you used of like photographer near me.
Right.
So it's just going to source you. Yeah. It's going to source you a bunch of photographers that rank well for SEO, that have a lot of good reviews on Google. Like that's how it's going to give you an answer. Where SearchGPT, since it's more conversational, is going to use all those other things that you said like to help give you the best answer. And not based on like the ranking factors that Google has. So that, I think, is what SearchGPT is going to aspire to do. However, I think the local piece of that is like, I think that's going to be the hard part. Is I don't think it's going to have the infrastructure right away to like be able to answer that. But I think that's a goal. So like, say you're looking for not a near me, but you're just looking for a business in general that can like do that. Like maybe it's a social media manager or something like that. Then maybe it can spit out an answer. So that's definitely how you would use it. I'd say think of ChatGPT like your assistant or your intern that can create content and help you build things and brainstorm things. Think of SearchGPT like your personal concierge. So it's someone who you are going to ask questions to that will like give you answers. So like if you're at a hotel, right, and you want to know what the best place to go is for food, or what activities should I do, or what's the weather going to be like today, like think of SearchGPT like your concierge. It's going to give you answers to the things that you're searching for, but ChatGPT is going to actually do the work for you.
So SearchGPT will could still serve up your website, right? So if somebody jumps on SearchGPT,
I think that's what I don't know. So I'm not sure how websites will be displayed, because it's not meant, like SearchGPT, from what I understand, is you're not meant to leave it. You're just meant to have a continued ongoing conversation. So it gives you an answer, you ask another question. So I imagine that if you're searching for a business, or if you're searching for something like that, that it would give you an answer. But I'm not sure that the goal of it is to give you links. Like, I think the goal of it is just to answer your question without ever having to leave the platform. And then you get your answer and you move on with your life. Anyways, one of the things too, if you're listening to this and you have tons of questions, like go to our Instagram maybe, and you can either comment obviously on this blog post, the show notes and all of that, comment, ask your questions, go to our Instagram post at duo.collective on Instagram, and just comment. We'll do like an open Q&A on SearchGPT. So go there and we'll answer questions and Instagram stories to just kind of like close the loop on what this tool is, how it's going to work. Again, I am not using this tool. I am watching from the outside basically as this is being created, but we love to bring you things that are like new and coming up and just things you should keep your eyes on. So we're not afraid to talk about it without all the answers.
It's going to be one of those things that people freak out about too at first, right? And again,
misinformation.
Like Abby said earlier, don't freak out about it. It's not replacing Google. It will never replace Google. So don't let that be something that scares you. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a tool that you use right away. Like it's not, we're not saying you have to use it, but obviously when it comes out, we're going to play around with it and learn with it and educate you guys more on it as we learn more about it, but don't let it like freak you out. This is not the end of the internet world. It's going to be okay. You can still use your good old
still focus
Google.
on SEO, please.
Yes.
SEO is not going away. It is still very, very important. And I think personally, like if you were to ask me what my biggest concern about this is actually misinformation. I don't like the idea of something giving me a single answer, because what if I disagree with that answer, or like I get the whole, you search Google and you can find any answer you want. So if you're looking for something to give you this opinion versus this opinion, you'll find it. Like you can go research, are avocados good for you and are avocados bad for you? And you'll see that they're good for you, and then you'll see that they're bad for you. Like you can find whatever you're searching for. But the problem and kind of the hesitation that I have with SearchGPT is the one answer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I love that because
not
the bias.
The only answer.
Yeah.
Right?
Like there's bias behind that. And how is this tool going to remove the bias and weed out the stuff? Like I can look at a post and be like, oh yeah, like this is a very opinion-based post that's being positioned as factual. It's harder to do that with getting a single answer with SearchGPT. So that's my biggest, I'm really curious to see how this is going to work, and it's going to take time for them to build it, but this is definitely where they're focusing. Like this will come out. This is happening. Like this is going to be a competitor to Google. So we just got to watch and adapt our content as we go.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
Do we know when it's supposed to launch?
No, I do not know when it's supposed to launch. I know it's still in its prototype right now. So we will find out. I will, and if we know by the time this episode has gone live, we will definitely share this, put it in the show notes, put it in the Instagram post, all of that good stuff. So
stay tuned.
But yes, most importantly, do not freak out. This is going to be okay. Healthy competition for Google is good. And then don't worry, you're in good hands. You're here in our community. You are on our email list. You are in all the right places. We'll keep you updated so you don't have to worry about it. So you can just sit back and listen to us.
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.